that's coming up
That
the
sounds
tower.
more like a dungeon crawl, man.
It's a reverse dungeon crawl, though. You've already gone through the tower to get up there. But
Yeah.
they're the ones doing the dungeon crawl.
Yeah,
And
the
you
elevator's
have
no
to-
longer working.
Right. Oh, can there be a wizard elevator? They've decided that they're going to be like murder hobos or something. At the end of all of this, you show them, oh yeah, no, actually the world would have probably been a lot better off and
You have a,
if you hadn't done all of this crap.
You have, like, all your quest givers would have found other more competent people to do their quests better.
Kevin McCallister is kind of just like the kid version of John McClane. There's just like invaders coming into a place, and he's got to like fashion all of this stuff in order to like makeshift things to stop them from taking over the place. Oh! Feliz Navidad, Alex!
Did you say apple-bottom jeans, the boots with the fur?
No, dumbass! Are you referring to my hat?
I'm referring to that remix version of Feliz Navidad done with apple-bottom jeans.
I don't understand that reference. I'm going to move on. Hello and welcome to the Total Pebble Knockdown holiday special, which is why I'm wearing this special hat. That's how special it is.
It's very special.
Oh yes, indeed. And it's made with this leopard fur. This is like the only Santa hat I could find on short notice.
I thought you were going to say it was maybe the only left alive leopard on Earth.
Yes, Santa is terrible this time of year. I am Santa Nathan. And you are?
And I am unfulfilled.
This intro is going great! People are going to very much like it and understand what we're doing here today. I'm not wearing this hat for the whole episode, by the way. On this episode... Oh, good, the frog's out of my throat. On this episode, though, we wanted to talk about some classic, with a question mark, holiday...
90s?
Yes! Some well-known holiday-adjacent classics, and how they might be used as story beats for your tabletop game. And so we're gonna do that. Alex, how excited are you for these holidays?
About as excited as I am every year.
So not.
So not. The whole having a birthday in December thing makes you not really care.
You've got bills. Not
And
a
presents.
ho ho
You gotta
ho.
get people gifts.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you gotta like save
It's
up all year for this.
It's becoming less gifts that I have to get people though, but not for bad reasons, because they're becoming less children.
Oh, that's true. I usually try to minimize my gift giving by having less people around me and distancing myself from all human contact. So,
And you know what? Pandemic must have done great for you.
oh, that worked out tremendously well. Yeah. COVID. See what I did there? Anyway, let's get on to the episode. Alex,
Where'd Santa Nathan go?
Where did Santa Nathan go? Oh, he died. He got replaced by Tim Allen.
Oh, that tracks.
This was a prequel to the Santa Claus the whole time.
Great.
So our first movie up, and I know that you're going to fight me on this, for a holiday story hook is based on Die Hard. Isn't that fun?
So fun. There are some people on the internet who would say Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. And there are some people who maintain that it is. And then there are people who say that it's a movie set at the time of Christmas.
Which is probably the most accurate. Probably the most accurate.
I don't really care one way or the other about it, because I'm not a huge... I don't think I've seen more than, like, the first one part of the way through.
You saw... Wow. The first one part of the way through?
Yeah, I don't have a memory of things.
I've watched Die Hard so
I've
many
definitely
times.
never gone out of my way to watch Die Hard.
I feel sad for you now.
Listen, John McClane.
I know that there are people who, like, I think literally Bruce Willis once said that it's not a Christmas movie, but Fox Fox Entertainment had actually come out to make a statement that they do consider it a Christmas movie. So even among the studio and the people that were involved, it seems to be contentious. But for me, the whole reason that John McClane is even at Nakatomi Tower is because it's Christmas, because he's going to his wife's Christmas party, and so it's all centered around that, which I think is enough of a reason to just say that it's a Christmas movie. We have a couple others that we're going to be talking about that are also not necessarily Christmas movies, but are considered that for a similar reason.
They're home around the holiday movies.
They are movies that might have Christmas somewhere in it, but it is just a framing device. It is not really central to the story. So in that regard, I'll say that, yeah, Die Hard doesn't really count in that, because it's really a framing device and they use some of the elements in it. But they do use Christmas as the framing element, so we're gonna say okay.
Unlike how The Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah, see, The Grinch Stole Christmas has to happen at Christmas. That's the thing. Yeah, 'cause it's the whole point of the movie. So now we've explained it to folks. There's Christmas-adjacent movies.
For everyone still here, let's get into what we're talking about.
Yeah, let's actually get into it. So, the main framing of this that I wanted to write a story hook about is the general idea that in Die Hard, John McClane goes to this Christmas party for his wife's office at Nakatomi Tower. Terrorists raid the building and take everybody hostage. And now John McClane is on a mission to stop the terrorists at the tower, so before they can inevitably steal all the money. That's pretty much what it amounts to.
Plot questions, first of all.
Sure.
Are they there to steal money?
Ultimately, yes.
Okay, then why don't they do it when the tower is not having a Christmas party?
I don't know if they knew that the Christmas... No, they must have known that the Christmas party was happening. Oh, I think I can answer this for you. They needed somebody to actually access... They need, like, Mr. Nakatomi, or the guy there, in order to access the vault. It's happening at a Christmas party when, like, the rest of the building is empty, except for this one Christmas party. And
which has all the employees at it.
Which has the employees of the one office.
Okay.
That one office, because it's a whole tower, but none of the other offices are there. Security is very low. It's like at night, and the person that they actually need in order to get into the vault is there at that time. And they frame it like when you start, they frame it as if they're terrorists and they're coming to do terrorism and like blow everything up. But that's just a cover for the fact that they just want to steal everything from the vault.
The second question for the plot is, what's John McClane's day job?
Oh, he's a police officer from the East Coast. That was the whole thing where like he and I just want to call him Carl Winslow. They're having this back and forth over the radio about this, and they're relating to each other based on their job. He's somewhat familiar with this, but I'm going to assume that John McClane is also not particularly familiar with dealing with direct terrorist and hostage situations. It's not really made clear that that's a typical thing for him. So my thinking is, you have a story where your characters end up in this place, and a tower is a really good setting for this.
Sure, Wizard Tower, got it.
Yeah, Wizard Tower. It's a big one, right?
You have terrorists trying to steal the wizard's robes. Wait, artifacts.
Artifacts. Sorry. What are the wizard's artifacts? What do you think the wizard's artifacts are?
Staff, spellbooks,
A Roderick Cube.
His robe and wizard hat.
His robe, his beard. All the power for the wizards comes from the beard. Yeah, we always know that. So the wizard, so we have to create a time where the wizard is in the tower, but security is very minimal for them to attack.
During some kind of ritual.
Your party also has to be there for a reason too.
The ritual?
Okay, your party is involved in the ritual.
Yep.
Or trying to stop the ritual.
They're probably there to protect the ritual.
Oh,
they're
okay.
They're the security.
Oh, here's a good way to set that up. One of your characters is sick, or you're trying to do a resurrection for one of your player characters, and so you have to go to the Necromancer's Tower in order to cure, in order to bring that team member back from the dead. Or,
cure the death.
Yeah, or you have somebody who has lycanthropy, so you theme it as like you're going to like a cleric tower or something like that, and something to that effect. But whoever it is can like help you. So now you kind of know when you can interject this into the story. It's just it's when one of your party members needs actual help that involves magic. It's just the wizard and it's your team. The terrorists, maybe they figured that the wizard's all alone because the wizard's normally alone, but you happen to be there, and that was not part of their plans. In similar fashion to when John McClane was not in the plans for Hans Gruber. So now you guys are there. And you might be one or two down just because the ritual's taken place and you're trying to resurrect people, and they might need to actually be involved. But everybody else can be involved in this. So now you're at like the top of the tower, and they're coming up. And you're way outnumbered. Because you have to be way outnumbered for this. You got like 10 to 1. They're probably checking all the floors. So you have different people on different floors. Now you can theme this around the idea that your party has to figure out how to deal with the threat that's coming up the tower.
That sounds more like a dungeon crawl now.
It's a reverse dungeon crawl, though. You've already gone through the tower to get up there. But
yeah.
They're the ones doing the dungeon crawl.
Yeah, the elevator's no longer working.
Right. Can there be a wizard elevator?
Sure.
There's
magic, why not?
Yeah, isn't there a spell, I want to say in D&D, that actually elevates you up and down, almost like it is an elevator? I don't remember what the spell is.
Probably.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Reverse gravity probably would work. So maybe you're not familiar with the tower in its entirety, but I'm gonna guess since you're with the wizard probably is familiar with the tower?
But he's gonna be in the ritual room, inside the vault.
That's true. Do you think that you could ask the wizard questions at this point? No, because the wizard's already in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
By the time this begins, anything you would have asked, you would have already asked.
Already in a trance, in a closed room, so now it's the rest
your party's on the bathroom break, and the other, members of the security group are in the vault protecting him. You swapped out.
Now you're in a tower that you're not familiar with, and you don't have access to the person who knows how this tower works. But you might have familiarity with towers in general?
Sure.
Maybe? Or a map?
This is the 5th tower I've been in this week.
I mean, you're an adventuring party. So towers are kind of a typical thing that you have to deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah, all the time.
I love having to deal with towers. It's my second favorite thing to do in games after setting bars on fire.
Fair.
Yeah, that's a whole other scenario. You're in that tower, and now very dangerous people are coming up to the tower, and they're trying to steal the artifacts. Although, you don't necessarily know what they're going to do. You just know that there are people, violent folks, that are coming into the tower to try and get something. Maybe they're trying to take out the wizard. Maybe they had a bad run-in with this wizard. You'd have to be able to see them at some point before they get to you. So luckily I guess they're windows, so maybe you could make an observation check or something like that, a perception check.
Yeah, windows, or maybe there's some sort of viewing device that looks outside the tower.
A telescope.
That's not a window, like a crystal ball or something.
Ooh, a crystal ball. Ooh! Fun idea. You have a crystal ball that's on the table. You're in the waiting room of this magical clinic and in there is an early alert system, and it's the crystal ball. And if somebody starts coming into the tower, the crystal ball activates, and it and starts pulsing, and it shows you who's coming in.
Yeah, it's like a door chime from when you walk into a shop.
Yes, it's like that, but definitely more serious, where they're like, alert, alert. The globe talks in my scenario.
In your head cannon.
That's the best weapon, too, the head cannon.
Yes. Now
we're in it. Your party has been alerted to the threat. The threat is now extant, as it were. And so now you gotta actually figure out how you're going to deal with these enemies. Now, there is a thing that I'm thinking about right now, which is you're going to want to divide and conquer without alerting everyone. So it's kind of a stealthy mission, unless...
Let's split the party.
Let's split the party, I guess. I'd want to avoid a direct assault where the party just goes down and decides, oh, we're just going to start taking them on, because then one person gets alerted, everybody goes up, and then you're just, like, overwhelmed immediately. And that would probably be bad.
Obviously, they've got big monsters with them that are difficult to take on.
Yes, absolutely. So you have the big monsters, the big giants, like rock giants or something.
Sure, you've got, like, mage hounds, and you've got trained rust monsters, and...
Oh boy, yeah. Rust monsters would be good for this, because that's gonna make players really try to be careful around these things and think these things through. So you've got to be clever, which is where stealth characters would really be helpful here. So if you have something...
Whole party of rogues.
Yeah, do this as a one-shot and have the whole party just be rogues.
I think it would have to be a one-shot, honestly. Or
Yes.
at least a one-off thing.
Right, and one of the reasons is because if you have a character or two that are in that ritual, no one's going to want to keep playing those characters if they're normal characters in the game. You know, they're just going to be sitting back doing absolutely nothing of use.
I mean, they'd be NPCs. They'd be somebody from town that you're assisting or something if that were the case.
You could do that. Yeah. You go to town and the person in town goes, oh, I need you to get this person to the tower. So you could do it as a quest line, I suppose. The only thing is that I do like the idea of your party being understaffed, essentially, where you don't have access to everybody. The other thing that I'm thinking is, like, when that alert comes in, if there was, like, one person who was in that lobby at the time and the other ones are, like, wandering around the tower, and then you'd have to, like, get word to them that something is happening.
Sure, someone's out on patrol or someone's going pee.
Going back to Die Hard as our example, John McClane is like the one person who doesn't get rounded up as a hostage because he's like in the other room and then he has to like work his way through the vents and everything to get to the other levels and try to tactfully take them out. In similar fashion, you could try to figure out ways to distract or to divert attention from the different characters. I'm sure the wizard's tower, or whoever's tower it is, it's full of arcane devices that could be great distractions. You know what would be fun? If they had, like, portal guns, or like, portal wands. It's portal hard. That would also break the game entirely, so...
Yeah, you would just be like, boop, boop, fire dimension, bye!
There is the possibility that you could have teleportation devices. Like, if you're able to teleport up, maybe they have different teleportation devices between different levels. Sure,
now it's a puzzle tower.
Now it's a puzzle tower. We're just turning this into an MC Escher painting that you just
We're turning this into a Pokemon gym.
This is a Pokemon gym. Perfect. People don't understand how much Die Hard influenced Pokemon.
Hot take right there.
Yeah, there you go. Pokemon is just just a Die Hard ripoff. We've established basically what we can do to create like a tower scenario, and that they're coming in. Any ideas on ways that a party might be able to resolve this, or ways that they might be able to go about dealing with an overwhelming force that is encroaching upon them?
Magic.
Okay, well, that does make sense because we are in a magic tower. This is actually, this could actually be a fun thing for a lot of parties, because this is one of the few times that they will have access to a ton of magical devices that they normally would not have.
So, I was gonna say, maybe the tower has, like, this emergency system you can activate if you get, like, a couple of runes activated, but they're all across the tower, where it just basically, everything but the ritual chamber is, like, flushed out. You know, so it's like this one part of the tower at the top where you can activate this.
Yeah.
And then the ritual chamber, or like everything else gets like opened up to the ethereal plane.
Nice. Nice. Okay.
So what you've got to do, so here's what you got to do for that.
Okay.
Is you've got to go to the 3 or 4 different locations to activate these consoles.
Mm-hmm.
these runic devices, which might have a small puzzle to do it. That way, it has to be deliberate. And the last one is in like the top. And once you get to the top, you can activate it, and you open up the entire, like, all the sides vanish, and it's just a portal to the ethereal plane, and it kicks every living thing that's not in either of those rooms to it. Either the ethereal plane or the elemental plane of fire, perhaps.
Jeez. Okay.
The ritual room, and then the top room that you're doing this from would be what is it? Ethereal anchors.
Okay.
So anyone in them would not be affected.
Sure.
So now what you've got to do with this overwhelming force of creatures and monsters is vent them into space, essentially. Throw them out the airlock.
Okay. So now it's just a mission to try and figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because in what you could do then is maybe this group knows a little bit about this, but not fully. So you've got a couple of the buttons or the runes are being guarded by the monsters. So small groups are just like, there's no one here, so we'll have like two or three of our tough guys kind of just hang out, making sure no one touches this thing.
Yeah. It's like in Die Hard, where they have a handful of people that are down by the actual safe, but most of them are up top. So that makes sense. Yeah, everybody else is like looking floor to floor, but they do have a few people that are dedicated down in the Skunk Works to open up the safe. So you can just have people that are down there trying to, we'll put a ticking clock on this. They're trying to deactivate the system so that it can't be used, so that they have plenty of time to steal everything. So now you have a ticking clock that you have to get there before they deactivate the system, or that isn't an option anymore. And it's gotta be like down below the actual main level of the tower. It's gotta be like all the way at the other end of the tower that you have to get to. I would imagine that the wizard has a few little devices in there that would actually prevent them from just accessing it directly. Yeah. But I'm thinking that maybe they got information from a disgruntled former employee or something.
Disgruntled former test subject.
Yes, one of the test subjects that now has the head of a fly. We're also adding in the fly elements to this. So Jeff Goldblum ratted out the wizard. Now your entire group is basically like, okay, if we encounter any of these dudes, it's gonna be bad. So we gotta figure out how to maneuver our way and either distract them or sneak by all of these people in order to get from the top of the tower down to like the basement levels so that we can activate the vent system, so that we vent everybody out into the ethereal plane. That's essentially what we need to do. Okay. What is preventing the group at that point from trying to do, well, actually something that they do in Die Hard, which is get a rope and go down several levels through the outside of the tower?
What's to prevent them to doing that? I mean, I guess you could say nothing. Maybe they do that.
The only thing I'm thinking, though, is that that's the reason why I was saying that there should be basement levels, because you obviously can't repel through the ground into the basement. So you if you had the rope necessary or the means necessary, you might be able to get through several of these levels. Good way to get around it, you know.
It's also a good way to let the players then take that for themselves and get down several levels, so.
Yeah, exactly. And it might be a good way to bypass several of the enemies. But
I'd let them do it.
Yeah. But you also have the problem that, okay, so now you have people coming up, and you have people that are down at the bottom. You almost have another ticking clock, which is that you don't want them to actually reach the artifacts, because once they reach the artifacts, they skedaddle and go. They found what they want. So you got to prevent them from doing that and distract them from getting there to the artifact room. But you also have the problem where they're trying to deactivate the system. So you got to get to the system and activate it so that they can go out before they grab everything and leave the tower. So you've got a couple things that are time sensitive. There might even be a way to do some time sensitive stuff in here about like how many moves you can essentially make, and like explain like they're moving up level 2 to 3 to 4 or whatever. And you know, we've got like so many rounds before, or you have so much time before we know that they're going to deactivate the system. So this is a neat idea, though. I think that this does probably work better as a one-shot, as will another one we're doing later. You could incorporate it as kind of like a side mission for a main party if you really wanted to.
Good. I would use it more as a one-shot if I was going to, just so you don't have to deal with that and its consequences.
Right, and I think the other thing is that you'd want to have a fairly low-level party to really amp up the danger of having high-level enemies around.
Yeah.
So this would probably be a one-shot, probably for like level 1 or level 2 characters, depending on how you're theming it. Doesn't even have to be like a fantasy Dungeons & Dragons things. In fact, if you wanted to, you could straight up just do this as like a modern-day setting, almost like a Shadowrun kind of thing. Just have like an actual skyscraper, or just have an actual skyscraper tower and do something similar. Still could have the magic elements, because it's Shadowrun. But, you know, you could theme it in a similar way. And then, at the end, if your team manages to pull this off, and none of them die in the process, maybe the wizard rewards you with something.
Sure, and if one of them dies, maybe the wizard resurrects them.
That's true. We did originally say that maybe it was the Necromancer Tower, so hey, death is not a consequence in this scenario. Unless everybody dies and the wizard dies. So there's that.
The end.
The end, exactly. Get ready for Wizard Tower Assault 2, which happens in an airport.
Great.
Or a dragon port, depending on how you're theming it. So there's that.
Don't worry, this is just where I parked my dragon.
You have to pay a toll for that. Dragons are very large.
The dragon just breathes on people.
The dragon should have all the gold you need in order to pay for that.
True.
For the parking space. Dragons without a horde are just sad. If folks out there have some other suggestions on how you could actually theme a Die Hard sort of mission, or if you'd want to do that as a longer term sort of thing, let us know in the comments down below. And also, I don't know, tell me I'm wrong that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
You're wrong.
Yeah, Alex is going to tell me that all day long. But
You're wrong. Not even all day, like 2 minutes.
Now I have a
20
machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. Alright, Alex, we're going way back in time for this next one. Okay.
What's the Flintstones?
Well, not necessarily. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on the era of the Flintstones or when the Flintstones actually came out. Doesn't matter. The point is, we're going back to the 40s to talk about It's a Wonderful Life.
Ooh, 40s? I don't know if it was really that wonderful, was it?
Well, I guess I'd have to
World War
ask
II?
people. Yeah, it was late 40s. I think 47 it came out.
Oh.
So, it came out, it was Frank Capra classic, and I'm going to say that if people thought that Die Hard wasn't a Christmas movie, I would also contest that Wonderful Life doesn't necessarily qualify, mostly because it's just at the very end that actually takes place on like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and there's some themes around it, but it's not really central to the story. The story, for those of you who are not familiar with it, I'll summarize it badly for you.
Thanks.
George Bailey is a guy who, runs a bank, and things are getting really tense because they're gonna foreclose on this whole place because there's that jerk, that Mr. What's his face? I hate
Scrooge.
He's basically a Scrooge allegory anyway. Mr. Potter is gonna foreclose on everything, and your days are numbered, Mr. Bailey, and all of that. And George Bailey determines that he hates his life, and this is all terrible, and he decides that he doesn't want to live anymore. And then the angel Clarence comes and says, "Well, now George, let me show you what a world without George Bailey in it would have looked like."
Oh, okay.
And so you get to go to a version of this town where George Bailey never existed, and you get to see that everybody's lives were miserable without him there. So he was kind of central to the happiness of a lot of characters in the movie. Hot take on my end, I didn't really like It's a Wonderful Life. Because frankly, for like the first like hour and change before we ever get to the whole like what would happen if I wasn't here, that part of the story.
How long is the movie?
It's like a couple hours.
Jeez, that's too long.
It's only like in the last like 15-20 minutes of the movie where we get into the what would happen if I wasn't here. The rest of the movie is looking at George Bailey's life, where he was when he started to where he is now, basically going through his life. And I think the thing that annoyed me about the movie is George Bailey's conclusion of like, my life is terrible, I can't deal with this anymore, is something that happens after you see his life be pretty good, pretty happy, but it wasn't the great expectations that he had of himself. Big thoughts about what he wanted to do with his life, and what he ended
all
up...
the hopes and dreams.
Yeah, and what he ended up with was, you know, like, I gotta live in this nice town with my wife, and my kids, and my house, and my business, and I just, what's it all for? And then he gets angry, and then they show him that actually it's a wonderful life, George, because it turns out that like all of this is good, and people really rely on you, and you actually have a purpose in life, and that's nice. But then they also can't stop there. Frank Capra then has to go and also rectify all the problems that George currently has, so that he actually doesn't have financial problems anymore, and all the money comes in, and everybody has to gather around and sing a song, and Clarence gets his wings and everything. And it's like, you could have actually just stopped with like, hey George, listen, you have some problems, everybody has some problems, but there's really a great usage of your time, and there's a real reason that you have, and let's just be happy about it. And maybe Mr. Potter dies and everybody's happy. You know, that would be fine.
So maybe the movie should have been like, hey, I think you got depression, buddy.
This was the 40s. People didn't get depression back then,
exactly.
remember?
Anyways, so Adventure Hook based on this?
Adventure Hook based on the idea of the party never existing in the world.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, this is actually what I wanted to focus on, not the first part of the vignettes of the characters. But I feel like this is something that would be interesting as like an end of campaign thing for the characters toward the end of their time. I was
thinking it'd be more fun later on.
Oh yeah. And you know, depending on the setting, maybe there are actually angels or demons that are actually leading you through this. There is a point where you play characters for long enough that you might start asking, like, what the relevance of those characters in the world is. And I think that there's a really interesting story to be told as, let us show you a world where you were never there. And have them realize that.
I think it'd be good if you had characters that had an extensive background, characters that were really fleshed out with like relationships to other people, not just characters, but like they have their own family, for instance, maybe, or they have a kid, or they've got family they left at home, or an old job or something too that you've kind of dug a little into in the entire campaign. Like for my character Hephaestus, it'd be like, if you never existed, then this guy would have died. Like his friend Shump would have just like not survived his first night in the woods that you met him. He would have been eaten by that spider. And going back further, your island would have, you know, somebody else would have gotten bitten by the lycanthrope and then terrorized the island instead of finding out, you know, something like that. Yes,
exactly. There's a lot of these. Essentially, what we're doing here is kind of chaos theory. It's butterfly effect stuff. It's this idea that if you're not there, the absence of you being there changes the events of history. I think that there's two ways that this goes. There's the one that's the most obvious correlation to It's a Wonderful Life, which is that you see your characters, and it turns out that everything that happened was for a reason, and the world is in very much more disarray because you weren't there, especially for main characters that you've met and the ones that you have the close relationships with. However, I have a more interesting idea. Your characters...
A more nefarious idea.
Yes, a more nefarious idea, and I think a demon does this. I think a demon, like, leads you to this alternate world, where you didn't exist, and actually everybody's lives are better. and then you kind of go, oh, what the hell did we do with our time? And you know what? This would be really interesting for a campaign where your players acted like idiots the entire time. Where you can
or a campaign
really...
where our players are doing not evil characters, but not necessarily good characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Morally ambiguous characters.
Do the kind of campaign, like, if they've decided that they're going to be, like, murder hobos or something, at the end of all of this, you show them, oh yeah, no, actually, the world would have probably been a lot better off, and...
if you
hadn't done all of this crap.
You have, like, all your quest givers would have found other more competent people to do their quests better. So, like, oh, you know that lady that owned the farm that you killed all those goblins and wargs off of and helped defend? Yeah, and instead, some brave adventurer kind of helped her out and they fell in love and she got married.
Yeah.
But instead, you helped her out and you guys just moved on and now she's still single and people don't go near her because she's an angry crone.
She got 50 cats.
Yeah.
And they turned out to be lycanthropes, and they ate her.
I don't think they need to be lycanthropes to eat.
Oh, that's true. The cats
just do that.
The cats will just do that. They get hungry.
Yeah.
They get hangry.
They do.
Yes, I like the idea of just like, these were missteps that you made, and now we can actually explain to you what would have happened. I think that it's a good way to frame it for a lot of the party at the end. That, you know, there's some consequences to your actions. I think that it's also a good reward for when they do, you know, relatively good actions that have been beneficial, that maybe you've set up over the course of the time to say, hey, if we weren't here, what would this look like? And what would happen to, especially characters that you thought were particularly of interest to the player characters themselves.
I think it'd be interesting to do that kind of thing, but also let them do like perception checks or sense motive checks on the different events too. But like, are you sure this is what would happen? Are you lying? Because if it's a demon, for instance, maybe they're showing him a falsehood.
Yeah,
like,
you have a false narrator, unreliable
it's
narrator.
all. Yeah, it's none of it's like necessarily concrete. So they could be like, is that really what would happen? We can see through that veneer you got. You're using a little bit of your trickery illusion magic there. You catch a demon out and he's like, oh shit, I guess, fine, okay, here's what would have really happened.
Or it turns out to be a complete charlatan that doesn't actually know anything. And they just constructed... Yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's just, it's not someone who actually can read the future or anything like that.
You're not even a diviner.
You're not even a diviner. You don't know anything.
You just got illusion magic.
No. I don't have illusion magic. I'm an Imagineer. It's fine. I am a conceptual soothsayer. There's a little thing on his contract that says, for entertainment purposes only, or something. Like on his bed. Great
Zoltan!
The Great Zoltan! Great Kazoo! No. Bring it back to Flintstones. Great Kazoo. Anyway, I'm thinking that there's a lot of possibilities to that, but the idea of, like, taking the party and suggesting, like, well, what would happen if you weren't here? And then having that resolved and maybe getting a deeper understanding of their characters afterward is a really interesting thought process to go through. I don't really know what would have happened to, like, my characters if I had done that. I think that it would have been a net positive if they weren't there. There'd be towns that aren't on fire right now, so...
You know, if Max hadn't been there, there would be a back end of this house that still had a wall that didn't have holes in it.
That is true, but if Max was not there, there would have been a lot more orcs. Than there currently are. So think of that.
Yeah.
Also, there would be one less were-rat in the world.
True.
So, hey, Again, I'm thinking a net positive overall.
Yeah, net positives.
Net positive. But anyway, so yeah, would you want to... Are you actually concerned about seeing some of your characters go through this thought experiment of what would happen to them?
I think it'd be fun for some of them.
Okay.
I've thought of doing stuff similar, but obviously not Christmas themed or Christmas adjacent.
It doesn't have to be.
Where I had basically more so time travel shenanigans, where it's
Sure.
You've gone into the past and now you can affect the future that you know is going to happen.
Yes.
Potentially.
Yes.
For good or bad. Or not at all. Maybe you're the catalyst for it and you just don't know it.
Right.
But that is a little different than this is what it would have been like without you here. It's more of, all right, you're here. What are you going to do?
For Rembrandt, I think that's probably a net negative because, as I said, there'd be a lot of people that would still be alive and a lot of towns that wouldn't be on fire. But there'd be one less surfboard in the world. So
True.
Or
True.
they wouldn't have even invented the surfboard, I don't think,
Yeah.
if he wasn't there.
Cowabunga.
Snowball, there's a lot of cases that wouldn't have gotten solved without Snowball. Or maybe they would get solved better and more efficiently. I haven't really determined that. So I'm kind of wondering, for the folks that are out there, since we're doing this thought experiment, what do you think would happen to, like, your characters if they had to see a world that never had them in it? And what do you imagine they would see? Alex, this is my favorite part of the program because we get to talk about my favorite Christmas film of all time, Home Alone.
Oh, I was hoping it would be the Who's Down in Whoville.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas? That's fine, but the Grinch, you know. Jim Carrey ruined it for me. Anyway, the point is...
Haven't seen the new ones.
Yeah, you know what? Probably better that you don't. Just watch the cartoon version. Best version that they had of it. Anyway, the point is, Home Alone, which also there is a case to be made, is not really a Christmas film, because Christmas is really the framing device and probably could have happened at any time of year. But, it's Christmas enough, damn it. And so
Sure.
We're gonna do it. And it did give him access to a lot more materials in order to stop the wet bandits. For people who are not familiar with Home Alone, you can go now. I don't need to talk to you.
That's it. We don't need to do a synopsis. If you're here, you know what we're talking about.
Exactly. Anyway, okay. Brief synopsis, just in case, because I don't want to alienate folks. Kevin McCallister is a psychopath that loves to inflict harm on other people. He, out of a series of very unfortunate events and unlikely events, his family goes off on vacation and accidentally leaves him home alone, and he gets the impression when he wakes up that he wished them out of existence, and now has to spend several days in this house by himself, not realizing that he just, the clocks went out in the middle of the night and a whole bunch of other things. In the meantime, Harry and Marv, the wet bandits, have been going around this town and waiting for everybody to leave so that they can rob everything. So they've been casing this entire neighborhood. It's a ritzy neighborhood in Chicago, and they're waiting for everybody to leave. And the McCallister's house is the one that has, like, all the best stuff.
Yeah, of course it is.
So,
they've got that Generation 1 PlayStation.
They got ice cream in there. They're talking about all the toys. They can't wait to get the toys because they're grown-ass men. Anyway...
Just side note, if you're gonna go on vacation...
Yes.
Especially in the days of social media, because I imagine back then, if they had social media, the McCallisters would have all been like, oh yeah, we're going to wherever they went, Florida, Bermuda?
They went to Florida, yeah, I think it was Florida.
I'm sure they would have been all over social media going, we're going to Florida. Don't post that shit on anywhere. Don't tell people you're leaving. Oh, unless you're having someone watch the house. Be like, hey, watch the house for us. We're going on vacation.
Wait,
but don't broadcast that. The number one way your house gets broken into, it may not be the number one. A very likely reason your house will get broken into in current day is because you were busy telling everyone you weren't home.
Yes. Very true.
Also, side note, majority of break-ins and robberies actually happen during the daytime.
So it is kind of one of those things where they're waiting for the lights to come on. That doesn't make as much sense. They weren't very good bandits. I'm also realizing the family went to Florida, I think, in the second movie. It was France. They went to Paris in the first one. So they're over across the seas. And
France for Christmas?
Now I'm trying to remember. One of them
anyway,
they went
matter.
to... Anyway, the point is, they're not there. One of them they went to Europe. One of them they went down to Florida. Can't remember which one. Doesn't really matter. Not important. Kevin's all alone. Wet bandits are coming. They didn't expect him to be there. Now he's got to defend his house. And then hilarity ensues, and instead of just saying, hey, there are robbers coming to rob my house, everybody come and just take them away when they come here.
If I had $1 for every time the McCallisters left their son at home, well, it hasn't happened that many times, but it's strange that I have $3.
There's like 5 movies now.
I don't remember how that joke goes anyways. It's fine.
And you delivered it just as well. Good job. Anywho. Alright, so the scenario that I'm seeing for this is basically like a tower defense game, because that's kind of what Home Alone is.
So it's a home invasion, is what it is.
Yeah.
So what your party would be doing is setting traps.
Yes. They are setting traps. This could be even like your Bastion. Like we were talking about Bastion on a couple times.
Sure.
Or you're just defending a town and everybody's gone. Like you come to an abandoned town.
Yeah, everyone's gone on vacation.
The town went on pilgrimage. You come to a town. It's abandoned. You don't know where everybody went.
If you actually wanted to, you could set it up almost like Monster Hunter.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Where maybe it's not a home invasion. Maybe you need to capture a monster.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so you're setting up all these kinds of different booby traps.
Yeah.
To either capture this monster, this bad guy, and it's like, oh, we know the bad guy's gonna be here. We gotta set things up to hurt him and weaken him and then capture him.
Here's the animal that I want to capture. The moist bandicoot. So there's the moist bandicoot, and we have to capture it, and it's very slippery. So we have to figure out how we're going to capture the moist bandicoots. Oh, there could be a lot of them. Now we have to set up traps to stop the moist bandicoots, but we have to use stuff that's available in town. We gotta MacGyver this shit, right? We gotta figure out how we're going to use stuff in town. So now my thought is, okay, you have access to a small village. What can I use for traps? How can I utilize them? We gotta think improv devices on the fly. There's far too many of the moist bandicoots coming into this town that we need to capture, and we need to figure out how to make traps for it. What are we doing?
Right,
where are we going? Yes.
I suggest digging a hole.
We dig holes. Okay, how many?
The hole, just like a moat.
You just dig them, but then they won't come into the town.
We put stuff in the bottom of the moat to attract them, and then you fill the moat with water.
But they're moist bandicoots, Alex.
I guess
they're
they
already
know how to swim.
They know how to swim. That's why they're moist bandicoots.
All right. So what we do?
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm thinking first thing you want to do is if there's a blacksmith shop, you want to go to the blacksmith shop and you want to try to create some rudimentary traps. Or you go to an apothecary, you see if there's any herbs you can use for sleeping gas or something like that. That might work. If we're theming it around Home Alone, though, first of all, I need spiders. Because tarantula was kind of an important thing in that movie. So I need spiders. We can create a herd of spiders? Is that what they call a group of spiders? Is it a herd?
I don't think spiders are usually in groups.
Oh, they're antisocial. They're antisocial spiders.
And antisocial spiders.
Yes. A goth of spiders.
There you go.
That actually makes perfect sense. Anyway, the point is, we need to do that. We need to have fire, water, sharp things, and blunt objects that can smack things.
So we've got a wizard, we've got a druid, and we've got a warrior paladin.
Perfect, exactly. Okay, so first of all, you got a druid. I gotta create a maze, like a hedge maze.
There you go.
And then I put all my traps in the hedge maze. That works. So you can do that. For defense, that works out great. Make a little maze out of it, so it's good for crowd control. Because these moist bandicoots are dangerous. I think that the moist bandicoots are actually, like, incredibly aggressive. They're incredibly aggressive.
Like badgers, but moist. Bandicoots.
Oh, I think I figured out what we can actually do. So the town has left. They've abandoned this town because the moist bandicoots are too dangerous for them. They constantly get attacked by the moist bandicoots. The moist bandicoots are there because whatever the crop is that they grow is what the moist bandicoots love. So whatever they make in this town, they decide that's the moist bandicoots love it, and so they've abandoned it. And the moist bandicoots are coming in full force now. So that's the reason why. So now you have an objective as to what you're trying to protect, and you have an objective of what you're trying to stop. And so you can either capture the moist bandicoots, because, I don't know, moist bandicoots on an open market might actually be very valuable. People like to keep them as pets. I keep imagining, like, in Plague Tale, where, like, that just herd of rats comes over the horizon, like a giant tsunami wave. I want to see moist bandicoots that do that. Just like a giant collaboration.
A tidal wave of moist bandicoots.
Perfect, exactly. I love this so much. Okay.
It's a swarm template, actually.
It's a swarm template, yeah, absolutely. We have swarm templates for the moist bandicoots. And they're incredibly aggressive, and if you get into the middle of it, they eat you. They nibble you to death. Oh!
That's what swarms do.
Oh! The crop that they were growing there was just people. They just like to come in and eat people.
Oh.
So
it's not really a crop that you grow, but I guess that works.
And that's why they all left. That's why they all packed up and left. And so now you're there, and the moist bandicoots are like, oh, more people to eat.
Yeah. They don't know anything about conservation of food supply.
No, I don't think that they really think that far ahead. These moist bandicoots. So we need to come up with fire traps. Ooh, actually, a lot of these traps that they used in Home Alone make perfect sense for this. Like the tar and feather one. I can heat up doorknobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, those bandicoots really try to use doorknobs a lot.
Yeah, there's just bars and stuff. Just heat metal. You can just put heat metal on everything.
Yeah.
Instead of the nails and the broken Christmas bulbs, you can just have caltrops. Throw the caltrops down. That works basically the same way. The paint cans are basically just like a log trap.
Metal buckets.
Yeah, just fill the metal buckets up, put a log trap down. I had one campaign where we actually knew that there was going to be a troop coming through that we needed to attack, and so we actually fashioned a log trap so that we could release it and bowl over the first line of defense, like right through.
Go.
So it kind of worked, if it weren't for the fact that they kind of knew that would be a problem. So like the less useful troops were the ones that they put into the front, and the elite ones were in the back. So
you always want the people that are expendable to be going through places that might be booby-trapped. You send the red shirts in first.
Yes, we've learned that much from, the Revolutionary War. The point is that there's a lot of these traps that we can use that are going to be very useful when the wet bandicoots come to town. And ultimately, we don't even have to go through the turn where the wet bandits start to decide that they don't actually care much about stealing things. They just want to kill Kevin. So that's always a fun part for me, where you start to realize that they've lost the plot entirely. And they're just
angry now.
They're just angry now. We don't even care. Like there is that part at the end of the movie where like Kevin's out of the house now. He's in the tower. You can just rob what you want and get out of there. You just take it and go. But they don't care. It's just killing Kevin at that point.
Nope, we no longer want to steal your toys. We want to steal your life.
Exactly.
Straight from burglary to murder in 5 seconds.
Yes. It's a Wonderful Life? Yeah, you bet it is. I'm gonna...
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what it'd be like if Kevin didn't exist, is they would have robbed the house and not had this issue.
Yeah, exactly, and we wouldn't have had to involve everybody else in the world in this.
Do you see how much happier these two guys would have been had you didn't exist, Kevin?
Yeah, exactly. You know what else I also realized, bringing it back to the first segment, is that Kevin McCallister is kind of just like the kid version of John McClane. There's just like invaders coming into a place, and he's got to like fashion all of this stuff in order to like makeshift things to stop them from taking over the place.
What Kevin should have done is just rigged his house to explode.
Oh, that would be so much more useful.
Just a gas main.
Maybe that's what we can do in our scenario. We come to town.
I mean, no one lives in the town. Why not?
We rigged the whole town to have poisonous gas release as soon as the moist bandicoots get there. If we create a system where we just try to lead all of these bandicoots into the middle of town and then just gas the whole place, I guess we don't have to really worry too much about all the other traps that we
that
we were setting.
100%.
Don't even worry about it.
You just fill the sewers up.
Yep.
And then when they get into town, you just ignite it and it goes.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yep.
Surprising that Kevin didn't try that.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It was probably the next thing on his list, but they caught him.
Yeah. They didn't show that in the movie because they thought that would be a little too edgy. A little too dark. I don't know. I think that he would have been doing Harry and Marv a solid if that's the way he decided to run it. Far less agony that he would put them through. In the first one, we were talking about like Die Hard, about like people invading a tower and then you have to work your way through a tower you're not familiar with. And in this one, we're talking about like a place that you're using as a fortification that you're essentially trying to defend. So it's a little bit different. But there are probably going to be similar tactics that you can utilize depending on how familiar you are with the setting. I do like the idea, though, of your party coming into this town and maybe not knowing why the town is abandoned in the first place. Like, they don't know the whole thing that's happening with bandicoots.
And then I find a note on someone's table and it's like, sorry about the bandicoots.
Yeah, sorry about the bandicoots.
And they're like, what? And they hear a rumbling, and it's glass on the table that just starts shaking, and they look out the window, and they see a tidal wave of bandicoots.
Yeah, so that's the first initial thing. And so Oh, yeah! So in similar fashion to Home Alone, when they first see that, they have to think real quick and make it look like they're really well defended, and they have to, like, use illusion magic to, like, make it look like there's tons of people on the ramparts that are ready to shoot them with arrows to try and
but that doesn't work if the bandicoots eat people.
That's true.
They're like, oh, more food.
You just have to create like a big hedge wall or something that's, like, right in front of it to slow them down. And make them think that they need to regroup. It's like,
this is turning more into Sharknado every minute.
This is, well, Sharknado is also a Christmas movie.
I was about to ask if they made a Sharknado Christmas movie.
If there is, I'll put a graphic up on screen right now. But
I think they made 6 of them.
We wish you a Merry Sharknado.
Sharkmas.
Sharkmas, yeah. There's gotta be a movie called Sharkmas. It's probably a direct-to-DVD, but anyway.
There's about to be.
If they haven't made Sharkmas, I'm telling you, that's a gold mine right there. It combines sharks and Christmas. It will be the best that we get Christmas and Shark Week all at once. People are going to love this.
We're gonna start a new TPK tradition, Sharkmas.
Sharkmas. Every year, we just have Sharkmas, and we sell little plushies, and it's a shark with a little Santa hat on. Brilliant. That's the infinite money hack for us. Yeah. Anyway, we'll theme all of these movies around sharks. It will be all underwater dungeons. Perfect.
Everyone's favorite, the underwater dungeon.
Everyone's favorite is the underwater dungeon, and now it's gonna have sharks, and they're gonna have Santa hats, and it's gonna be amazing. Congratulations.
In this universe, Santa's sleigh is pulled by sharks. Wait, one of them has a big, bright red, glowy nose. And gnashing teeth.
You know what I think would be funny? Is if Santa's sleigh was actually bottlenose dolphins. And the bottlenose dolphin... So Santa's trying to stop the sharks from stealing Christmas.
Oh, yeah, there you
with
go.
the dolphins. And the dolphin at the front has a big red... big red bottlenose.
This is a graphic for Crave to make later.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to Sharkmas, everybody! For next year, we gotta remember to make shirts for Shark...
Yeah.
Sharkmas
Limited edition run next year on a t-shirt for Sharkmas.
That's right.
Hope you're ready.
Yeah.
Because we're not.
Terrifying Shark Christmas.
12 Days of Sharkmas.
Terrifying Paleolithic Christmas. And we have K as the Christmas. If anyone has some other ideas on how we can become Kevin McCallister in a story hook for your game, please let us know in the comments down below. Especially want to know if you can think of any cool traps that we could put together in a traditional, like, fantasy setting or sci-fi setting, maybe?
Of sharks.
If it's shark-based, extra points. We did it. We did
it. Another year in the books.
Another year in the books.
What they say?
Yes. We have successfully finished our last episode for this year, because we go on a little hiatus after this for a couple weeks.
Yes.
And we'll come back and talk about some of our favorite and least favorite stories of the year, coming up in 2024.
Yeah, soon.
Yes, it's soon. Soon we'll be doing that. In the meantime, though, Alex, if folks wanted to find out more information about Total Pebble Knockdown, where could they go?
You can go to totalpebbлекnockdown.com.
That's right, and when you are over there, you can check out Titanium Mine, because we're still doing Spacember over there, and you can check out more episodes of TPK that are not necessarily holiday-themed, but...
Oh, God.
Yeah... We did do a few cool segments for the October season that were more spooky themed, so you can listen to those if you're still celebrating Halloween, because some people probably would love to, but
Nightmare Before Christmas, yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, that's right. We got to come up with a scenario for that one next. I don't know what it would be. It'd be terrible. Anyway, that's what it would be. Anywho, you can also check us out on Patreon. We have full episodes that are coming up all over there before anything that you see on our YouTube channel, and you can also check out some behind-the-scenes footage and extra bonus content over there. And feel free to like and review and subscribe to all of the podcast apps, because we're on all of those. And you can also find us on the wasteland that is social media. I am at Titanium.
I am at EXP Limited, and our show is at Pebble Knockdown.
And so you can keep up with us for all of our festive pebbly needs at this point. If we do not talk to you beforehand, I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, a Festivus for the rest of us. I need to get a Festivus pole. I wonder if they sell those. I could make one.
Probably. Check eBay.
Otherwise, though, I think a Festivus pole is pretty easy to make, right? It's just like a metal pole on a stand. So
just get a stripper pole and decorate it.
Oh, good. I have one of those already. And also, Happy New Year.
Yes.
And we will see you in 2024 for more pain from us. Because it's going to be...
more of whatever this is.
It's going to be more of this boulder rolling down a hill.
Sisyphus would be proud.
Yeah. I feel like there should be a graphic of Sisyphus trying to hold the pebbles up on the ridge for us and failing dramatically. Like, you can almost imagine, like, it's Sisyphus and he has the boulder, but little tiny pebbles keep falling out around it, and that's the Total Pebble Knockdown. It's just Sisyphus trying to roll that boulder up the hill every single day, but little tiny pebbles keep falling up around it and tripping everybody up. That's the allegory now. We just made up lore. Anyway, until that point, where Sisyphus finally gives out, we will see you on 2024, And you have a wonderful end of your 2023. We will see you in the next year.
Bye until next year.
Yes.
Said the thing.
That's a different movie.
That's fine.